powerful, effective prayer. But faith isn't just believing God will answer. It's trusting that He knows best. That brings us to the third key in answered prayer. Seek God's will. Seeking God's will is crucial because prayer isn't just about convincing God to do what we want. It's about aligning our hearts and minds with His will. In 1 John chapter 5, verse 14, it says, "Now this is the confidence that we have in Him, that if we ask anything according to His will, He hears us." God hears us when we pray in line with His will. Does this mean our desires don't matter? Not at all. God cares deeply about our needs and desires, but we must trust that He knows what's best even when we don't. Sometimes our prayers reflect desires that may not align with God's will or His purpose for us. James chapter 4, verse 3 reminds us, "You ask and do not receive because you ask amiss, that you may spend it on your pleasures." This verse challenges us to evaluate our motives when we pray. Are we self-seeking or are we open to God's will? It's not wrong to bring our needs and desires to God. In Matthew 6, verse 11, Christ taught us to pray for our daily bread. But prayer also reveals our hearts. It reveals whether we desire to serve others and glorify God or simply seek personal gain. Consider King Solomon's request of God and God's answer. We find the story in 1 Kings chapter 3. When God appeared to Solomon in the dream, He told him, "Ask, what shall I give you?" It was an extraordinary moment. Solomon could have asked for anything: wealth, long life, victory over his enemies. But instead, he asked for wisdom to govern God's people. Solomon's request showed his desire to serve the people and fulfill the responsibility God had given him. And God was so pleased with Solomon's selfless request that He not only granted him wisdom, but also gave him riches and honor. This story teaches us a powerful lesson about prayer. When our requests reflect concern for God's will and the good of others, God is delighted to answer in ways that often exceed our expectations. Jesus Christ demonstrated the ultimate example of submitting to God's will. Just before His crucifixion, Jesus prayed, "Father, if it is your will, take this cup away from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done." Jesus expressed His preference to avoid suffering, but He surrendered to the Father's will, trusting that God's will was perfect. His example teaches us, trust God's plans, even when they're hard to understand. Seeking God's will doesn't mean we can't share our hopes, needs, and desires in prayer. It means trusting that His will is ultimately better than our own. When King David's infant son was dying, he